folks. Welcome back to Path to Recovery Podcast, episode 20 today. And I'm going to talk a little bit about source versus resource. So we're going to dig a little deeper today. In simple terms, we're referring to God versus anything that directs us towards God. God is considered the source of all things, and resources are things that direct us towards the source of all things. So I could essentially end the podcast right here, but we need to dig a little bit deeper, because basically I'm like that. For us to pray to God or commune with God or feel God's love and know God, we need to go directly to the source, to God. However, we may need assistance in learning how to do all of that. That's when resources come in. A resource is exactly what it's defined as: a source of supply, a source of support or aid, especially one that can be readily drawn upon when needed. So think of it more as an assistant that helps you with what you're trying to accomplish. Like a spiritual leader or a priest, a rabbi, a monk, the Bible, the Quran, pamphlets, and so on. Each of those can assist us with direction in order for us to commune with God. However, each of those won't do the work for you. Think of it like a coach for a sport. They can teach you proper techniques to accomplish your goal, but they can't do it for you. They can't kick the soccer ball in the goal. They can't shoot the basketball in the hoop. They can't run the marathon for you. You get the idea. They're merely motivators and teachers. If you're someone who is well practiced in communing with God through prayer, meditation, chants, chimes, sounds, and such, then you already have a good idea of how to connect with God. If you aren't well versed in communing with God, then this is something that I've learned recently from a friend of mine named Jeff Schlicht, and it's kind of an easier way to understand the process of connecting with God. So let's kind of pull it back to this. If you were to think of a friend of yours, maybe someone you've known for many years, and you were to think back at the time you first met, you'd recall the slightly uncomfortable setting and possibly your emotions during that moment you first said hello. Now think back to the time that you and that friend did something together. It doesn't matter what it was, just that you committed to trying to do something together. How did that feel the first time? Now think about a time when you and that friend talked about something happening in your lives. Think of how the relationship slowly started growing and forming. You were creating a bond of trust, respecting each other. You began to tell them all sorts of things that others may never have heard. Now recognize you can do the exact same thing with God. Don't see God as some Hollywood star that you're enamored with, and if you met them, you'd stumble on your words and get embarrassed. See God as someone you just met. Talk to God as if it's curious about you and wanting to get to know you a little bit better. Talk to God one moment at a time. Share your experiences here and there and test how it feels to trust God. Make it a point to talk to God before you go to sleep and maybe review the day together in a loving way, because that is what God is, loving. Make it a point to wake up and talk to God about your dreams or the fact that you have a hard day ahead. Feel how God is non-judgmental. Make it a point to talk to God during the day, maybe on your break or even in the bathroom. There is no place where God is absent. So communing with God is anywhere, anytime. The more you practice those small efforts each day, the more you're going to feel the source. The more you will feel comfortable in talking to God about anything. The more you will begin to feel God's presence while you talk to it. The more you'll begin to trust your feelings after you commune with God. The more confidence you'll have in asking God questions. The more you'll begin to see the light of God, not only during the communing with God, but when you commune with others. You're going to begin to feel the essence of God in all things every day. It won't happen overnight, though. It may not happen for months or even years, but it will eventually simply blend into your everyday life. And we call that integration. So what we're going to talk about next is something called intention. I've been mentioning it before in my other podcasts, as well as the Path to Recovery podcast, but we pray to God with intention so that we have the deepest connection possible. An intention is what we use to differ between sort of a hope prayer versus a deep knowing prayer. A hope prayer can sound something like this. Oh, please God, get me through this moment. If you can fix this one thing, I'll go to church more. Or, oh God, help this marriage as it's struggling to stay together. Or, God, if you just get me out of this mess. And a knowing prayer can sound more like this. God, guide me as I go into court for my divorce. I am strong, but I want you with me to keep me centered. Or, I believe God is with me and that regardless of how this turns out, I will always be loved. Our intention in those prayers are quite different, as you can tell. Think of our intentions as our deepest desires to succeed and accomplish what we're after with dedication and determination. If we have lazy intentions, we are surely going to receive lazy results. I'm going to stop drinking next week. I'll get my oil changed in another 1,000 miles or so. I'll get to that soon. But if we have strong intentions, our results tend to be solid. I'm checking into that rehab center now. I have to go to the hospital. I think my arm's broken. Now that I have my blender, I'm going to make a veggie smoothie today, and grocery store, here I come. So what kind of intentions do we need to commune with God? If you take the practice model I referred to earlier in the podcast, you're going to see that as we learn to simply treat God as a friend first, we can then build trust with God. Once we have the trust, we can then step into prayers of healing or deeper meaning. Something like this. God, I had a bad day today. I lost my way and became very angry. I need your guidance to get back to my center and begin forgiving myself for my actions and my thoughts. Or something like this. Oh, Father, Mother God, I feel the pains of the passing of my brother. It hurts so much to lose him. I know that you are love in all things. Help me see the light in this moment and to forgive myself for seeing anything but your light, even during the passing of my brother. Or maybe this. God, I screwed up and drank. It's been a hard week, and the pressure from work and my boyfriend just seemed to overcome me. I didn't reach out for you then, but I am reaching out for you now, as I desire deeply to get back into my balance and to try again to stop drinking. Guide me through this dark moment and show me the light so I can continue my path to healing. Or we can even get as comfortable with a friendship with God as something like this. Dude, I forgot to say hello this morning and found myself struggling at the store. I trust in your glory and your grace and desire to return to our talks. I am asking now for forgiveness for my struggle and know that I will be okay with you as my God. As you can see from those prayers, they get a little deeper than just talking to God as a friend, because when we find those rare friends, those BFFs, those are the ones that we believe we can always count on. Yet, sadly, things happen. People leave, they move far away, they die, or they find new friends. God doesn't leave you for anything or anyone, ever. As we learn to trust in God and ourselves, we find that the best possible way to healing is through communing with God, as God will show you that everything that requires healing is within us. So that is why we need to go directly to the source. Think of it in this one last concept. Let's say you're listening to some coworkers talk, and one of them says that Charlie has not come to work because he's sick with the flu. Yet the other coworker says that Charlie is in rehab. Are you going to trust one person over the other? Or are you going to bypass them both and just go call Charlie to find out what really is wrong? That is called going directly to the source. Listening to the gossip and assumptions given by others is a sure way to fall prey to the egoic mind, or the devil if you so choose. Stop the rumors and just go to the source. That's what this whole podcast is about. Eliminate the middleman and go directly to God. Do not pass God. Do not collect 200 rumors. Thank you so much for listening in, folks. It's going to get deeper, and there will be more of a learning process for all of us. Thank you so very much. God bless you all, and I hope to see you on the next podcast. Thank you again for listening in today, folks. Your time and energy is greatly appreciated. Please feel free to download these episodes, favorite them, share them, and even visit my YouTube channel, Yava-Coco Productions, for all the podcast playlists and for some insanely cool videos of my hiking adventures that I do in Sedona. That all helps me to continue to bring you more exciting podcasts and videos, both for healing, spirituality, as well as just kind of amazing videos of Sedona, Arizona. For those of you wanting to dig in a little deeper, maybe you're struggling with some inner issues, or you're in a recovery path from an addiction, or just looking for inspirational discussions about healing, check out all of my podcasts on your favorite podcast players. Titles like Path to Recovery podcast, Cognitive Awareness with a Touch of God podcast, Bear Clan's Hiking Sedona podcast, and yes, I even have one called Star Wars, The Bear Awakens podcast. We are here to help you, and what we're trying to do is offer you things that can help you for free. Plus, there's entertainment involved with a lot of these anyway. So thank you again, folks. God bless you, and I hope to see you on the rocks. Favorite them, share them, and even visit my YouTube channel, Yava-Coco Productions, for all the podcast playlists and for some insanely cool videos of my hiking adventures that I do in Sedona. That all helps me to continue to bring you more exciting podcasts and videos, both for healing, spirituality, as well as just kind of amazing videos of Sedona, Arizona. For those of you wanting to dig in a little deeper, maybe you're struggling with some inner issues, or you're in a recovery path from an addiction, or just looking for inspirational discussions about healing, check out all of my podcasts on your favorite podcast players. Titles like Path to Recovery podcast, Cognitive Awareness with a Touch of God podcast, Bear Clan's Hiking Sedona podcast, and yes, I even have one called Star Wars, The Bear Awakens podcast. We are here to help you, and what we're trying to do is offer you things that can help you for free. Plus, there's entertainment involved with a lot of these anyway. So thank you again, folks. God bless you, and I hope to see you on the rocks.